Alright guys, it's Odly Otter here with another video. First things you're going to notice is that this camera angle is different to what you're used to. It's because we're in a different car, and where I can mount this camera is different to my car. So yeah, this is what you're going to have to deal with. So welcome to today's traffic talk. We do this pretty much every Tuesday. I deal with topics that you give me while I'm stuck in traffic. And if you want to suggest topics that you want me to talk about, or ask questions that you want me to answer for you, then you can do that by dropping it in the comments or getting me on Twitter, which there will be a link to in the description of this video. Cool story. So we're going to keep these very short. I'm going to just rant on a little bit about the Tomb Raider movie that's just come out, so you guys know that that came out on Friday last week. I was privileged enough to be able to go watch it last week, and yeah, it was pretty good. I'm kind of going to give you a very quick overview of the movie without giving you any spoilers. So the first things you're going to notice is, obviously by now there's already been other people that have reviewed this movie. There were a lot of other guys that watched a pre-screening of this movie, and some of them didn't have very nice things to say. I did watch a review by IGN, who basically slated this movie for being a complete cheap knockoff, and like, they weren't really nice about the movie at all. And I thought, okay, well, I watched their review before I saw the movie, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go check it out and see what it's like. And then I went and watched the movie. And something you need to keep in mind about this movie is this is based off of the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot. So a lot of the difficulties that's going to come into this whole discussion is that before the 2013 reboot, there has been a whole lot of other Lara Croft and Tomb Raider movies that came out. I mean, not movies, games that came out. And they all have their own story, and they all kind of develop Lara Croft as a character. I don't know how many people watched or played, I don't know how many people watched this movie that hadn't played any of the previous games rather than the 2013 one. I don't know how many people played the 2013 version without having played any of the other stuff. It's quite a popular franchise. And the thing with it is that you got to understand character development of who she was, where she comes from, why she does the things she does. And that's essentially what the 2013 game is trying to do. It's trying to re-establish, reboot the whole series. So she's still raiding tombs, as the name suggests. She's still got her skills in terms of weapons. She's got her skills in terms of like puzzle solving and agility. So she does a whole bunch of things. She does them good, she does them well in the games, and they're kind of trying to establish where she's come from. When you come to the movie, they're trying to do the same thing, but there are certain things. So the IGN review, the first one, because I did another one which I'll talk about just now, they basically said this movie is nothing like the games. And this is something you got to realize when you're talking about video games and movie adaptations, is that there are completely different genres. They both do the same thing in terms of telling a story, right? So a video game is you playing and interacting through a character as you watch the story unfold, essentially. A movie is a story unfolding, but there's no interaction. It's just you sitting there passively watching. So there's different aspects that need to be considered when you're writing for the one and writing for the other one. So when you're writing for a video game, you're looking for ways in which to make the story compelling. You're looking for ways to continually capture the attention of the player and the interaction level of the player. It's not just you playing a story. I mean, it's not just you in a story, it's you interacting with the story the whole time, moving it forward, making decisions, solving puzzles, whatever it might be. And because of that, there's also a slight element behind all of these where the character in which you play in a video game has to be able to be imprinted on. So that basically, if you don't know what that means, that basically means you as the player take over that character and your style of play, etc., is expressed through that character, which you can't do in a movie. In a movie, the actor is the only person who has any control and style over the way that that character in the movie does things, and that already gets a lot of people's backs up when it comes to movies. So I'm bringing that up. That's something you do need to be aware of. In terms of the Tomb Raider story, there will be people, probably has been people, who are like, this is not the way that I envision or interact with or view Lara Croft. And that's simply because your perceptions of who Lara Croft is, who Tomb Raider is, while there is still character development that happens in a game, part of your understanding of who that character is part of who you are. Does that make sense? Slightly. I don't think it's that hard to understand. So that's kind of what's happening when you're viewing these movies, even when you're reading a book, and then you see the movie version of it. There's a part of you in that character. There's a part of you when you're reading the book. Which is probably going to be a critique for another movie coming up, but we'll deal with that one when it comes. So you're probably going to hear people saying this is not how I envisioned her. There may be moments, to be quite honest, where as an actor you didn't really see the full scope of emotion. Like the scene required a lot more like pain and anguish, and she doesn't really convey that very well. But at the same time, there are scenes in the movie where she does it very well. There's a scene in the movie, and I'm not spoiling anything by telling you this, so don't worry, but there's a scene where she has to kill someone for the first time, where she's fighting someone for the first time, in a life or death situation, and that is really intense. There's a lot of emotion involved. There's a lot of struggle that you can see afterwards. It was really well done, in my opinion. So,
spoiler.
It's not a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
It's going to happen.
It out there.
It's in
Just
there.
Putting it out there.
Shut up, Devin and his comments. So anyway, beyond that whole aspect, there's also going to be elements in this movie that you're not going to like in terms of the way that it changes the story between the movie and 2013 game. And again, this has to do with things like a video game is typically longer than a movie. They can pack more into a game in terms of, oh, how many puzzles do I solve, and how do I do this thing, and who are these characters, and you spend time with these characters, and there's so much more that you can put into a video game than you can into a movie. A movie typically is about 2 hours long, hour and a half long, in that zone, and to compress all of that into that time frame can be a lot difficult. So some characters get chopped, some characters get changed. So that's what the IGN guys were basically complaining about, saying the story changes a bit. The overall arcing story in terms of the birth of Lara Croft as a Tomb Raider. Hello, random hooting. The birth of Tomb Raider in these, both the game and in the movie, is what should be focused on. You see her coming to the fore, kind of accepting who she is and moving forward in this way. So that's what the game kind of wrestles with a little bit, and that's what the movie's wrestling with a little bit. They have different baselines. First off, that does something to do with I don't know how to phrase this better. Something with entertainment, with a pre-existing audience. So you can go into a movie, and this is kind of also a very key thing. You can go into a movie going, I know exactly what's going to happen. this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and everyone's going to be happy at the end, and that's what I'm expecting because I've played the game, I've read the book. And from a creative perspective, as a director, that's kind of sucky. You know, you're confined to the imagination of another person, and as soon as you deviate, you're going to get critiqued, which is obviously what's happened here. They deviate from the story. Again, I don't want to ruin too much of this, but there are some characters that aren't in the movie. There are somewhat major plot lines in terms of who the big bad is that changes, but you're changing things that aren't massive. At the end of the day, the story still stays the same. She's still Lara Croft. She's still wrestling with being this Tomb Raider type of person, being an independent woman. Those are all still part of the big story, and I think that's kind of what you have to go away from. The movie in no means is boring. It's action-packed. The people that I was sitting with the whole time, both to my left and to my right, were making comments throughout the movie, and I could see the tension in them, and certain scenes were happening, and once or twice where they jumped, and it's because they were involved. The story grips you, the story goes at a very good pace, and I think those are things that I kind of want to say. I do want to keep this to 12 minutes, so we kind of are running out of time here. So what I say is, the second IGN review deals a lot with who's not in the movie, what storylines are different. If you've played the game and you want to really kind of spoil it a little bit for yourself, you can go watch that IGN review of what's different. But I would say watch the movie and enjoy the movie for what it is, which is entertainment, which is a slight reimagination in parts of the story, but it's still good. So, summary, watch it, you'll probably enjoy it. You're not going to walk out of there hating what they've done. The big narrative is still the same, even though some parts of it have changed, and you're going to be entertained. You're still going to enjoy all the action scenes, etc. So, that's my Tomb Raider review. We're still going to be stuck in traffic for a little while, but yeah, you can go ahead and do what you want to do now, because this video has ended. You can click my face to subscribe. You can click Damon's face. It's not going to do anything though.
Spoilers. Oh wait, that's not a spoiler. Oh well.
Have a good day, guys. I'll see you in another video. Cheers.